Hey guys, UWG Nick here, and welcome to the first episode of my new vlogging series. I'm think I'm gonna start doing this like once every week, like a small vlog where I just talk about what's going on in my life, what's going on with the channel, what I think about. Well, not everything I think about because there's a lot of fucked up stuff in here, but like things I can publicly comment on. I'm not gonna start doing vlogs every single day or several times a week, not becoming one of those Logan Paul, I make a 15-minute TV show every day for the 400 blah, 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 whatever days. Because let's face it, there's not that much interesting going on in my life, so making a vlog every day would just lead to a lot of boring content, which isn't great. It's not something I want to do. But once a week, small updates, short videos, talk about stuff that has happened and what has not happened and stuff like that. Um, I don't know. What's the series gonna be like? Probably quite short, like just a snippet out of my life, like Sunday snippets. It's a decent title actually for the series. Maybe I'll use that. But yeah, like short snippets of information, things like that. What do I want to talk about this? Well, first I could tell you a story. As maybe you picked up if you watch my videos, not many people do, but either way, we moved from an apartment in the center of the city where we lived, and we moved to a house. We bought a house in the kind of in the boondocks outside the city. It's not that far. It's like 15 minutes by car, and I'm back in the center. But still, it's a little bit out here. There's a lot of woods around us and not a lot of people. We like it that way. Don't have to worry about the neighbors. There's been some negative sides with it. For instance, internet is now much worse. I have to use a 4G connection because there's no cable connection worthy of the fucking name out here. So I'm sitting on 4G, which means streaming is pretty much out of the question because I don't get speeds high enough to keep like a quality stream going. Also, with wireless internet, you always run the risk of packet loss and choppy connections and shit like that. So streaming is pretty much dead at the moment, unless I get something done about it. Doubt that will happen anytime soon, though. But either way, when we moved out here, we quickly realized that we're gonna need a second car. So we started looking around, and we ended up buying a, I don't know, was it a Toyota Avensis 2006, like a farmer model? I don't know if that's the chassis, the name of the chassis in English. Farmer, we call them farmers. They're like a normal people's short version of a Hersey kind of thing. Like those. It's like a long car with a decent amount of trunk space and quite a lot of room in the car. They have the sex appeal of like old granny panties, pretty much, but they're decent cars. They're also Toyota is a safe brand. Either way, we bought it from a store. We bought it used, of course. Had been driven like 250,000 kilometers, but everything seemed good. They've done some work on it, changed brake pads and what else, all kinds of stuff. They'd like fixed it up, so it's good. And I checked the service book as well, and it said like 3,000 kilometers ago they changed the oil and the filters and everything. And I was like, all right, great. I don't need to worry about that for a bit. Anyways, we had it for about a month over Christmas and New Year's, and here in January one day when I started driving to work, I suddenly started hearing this quite loud like ticking or a ticking sound, I guess is the best way to describe it, like a knocking sound from, yeah, engine knock, a knocking sound from the engine when I was driving down the highway, which is like it has a 100 km/h time or speed limit, which is 60 in American miles during winter, anyways. And there was a knocking sound, and I was like, "Well, fuck. First of all, I'm late for work. I can't stop. Like, I don't want to stop. And second of all, this is not a great place to stop." So I just drove to work, which was like about between 4 to 5 kilometers away. I had that knocking sound all the way. And I was looking at the instrument panel. There was no warnings. There was no explanation what the knocking sound came from. But when I came to work, I like shut the car off. Decided I need to Google this. I went up to my computer and started googling around. And what came up was not great. So apparently, then during lunch, I went and bought some oil and figured maybe that's it, even though it's not warning anything. So I pulled out the oil check stick, the dipstick. Is it called a dipstick? I cleaned it off and started checking how much oil there was in the tank or in the oil tank, and there was nothing. Like, there was no sign on the stick. I was like, well, fuck. So I poured about more than a gallon. Well, at about a gallon of oil going into it, I started seeing signs on the dipstick. So I was checking constantly. It went a gallon. It took a gallon before showing signs on the dipstick. And I poured like about 4 liters, which is just above a gallon. And then I tried starting it again and driving to a mechanic, which was just across the road. And yes, the knocking continued. At this point, I was like, well, this isn't good. Either way, they checked it at the mechanic shop and they told me that I don't know what these car parts are in English though, but pretty much like your motor's fucked. You've destroyed the bearings on some part inside the motor and you're gonna need a new engine. Which wasn't great. A month, we had it for a month and then they told us like, yep, new engine, and it's gonna cost you between 5 to 6,000 euros to get a new engine because there wasn't any used ones that they had found available. Well, considering like the fact that the service handbook said that they changed the oil and filters 3,000 kilometers ago, which isn't much, by the way. I had it into the same workshop the day before to change a light bulb that had burned out in the front of the car, and they actually asked then, do you want us to check the oil levels and stuff like that? And I was like, nah, you don't need to. I'll just refill it soon myself anyways. The day before this happened, they checked it. Or it didn't check the oil levels, but it was in there. And they also checked, like, because I had one of the parking guards, like the little beepy things when you put it in the reverse so you don't run into shit. I don't know what it's called in English either. Yeah, I have no idea. The sensors was busted, so they checked the car computer, the driving computer, whatever you want to call it, and they realized that they said there was no warnings of any kind in there. There was no error messages at all. So I had all this information, so I called back to the store that sold us the car and like, well, guys, this is the deal. And they're like, oh, we're gonna have to send this up the hierarchy because this is quite a large amount of money, like considering that the car cost like 5,000 euros, a little bit more. And this, what do you call it? Like the correcting it or the reparation? Is that this right word? Getting it fixed would be as much as the car cost. So they were like, yeah, we're going to have to check this out. So they started doing a bunch of, like calling for they wanted pictures from the service handbook and information, and they want to be told what had happened and so on. And they tried pulling that whole, oh, but you were driving it after it like started knocking, so we don't really know if that's like. I was like, no, dude, guys, like at the moment you hear the knock, you're already toast. There's no going back from it at that point. So either way, they started looking into what happened, and it turned out that they think that the last service that I told you about, the oil change at 3,000 kilometers ago, it had never been done. It had been signed and stamped in the service handbook, but it had never been done, which is really fucking weird. Either way, long story short, the store then decided that, fuck it, we can't blame you for this. And I was like, damn right you can't. And they offered me a new car of equal value or getting that one fixed. Either fixed, like the engine fixed, which is going to take quite a lot of work. They need to... The fuck is that? What's the word? I can't think of the word, what it's called, what they need to do to fix it, but it's metal work. And it's going to cost like I think it was like 3,000 euros or something like that. Or they could give me a new car of equal value, as I said. But I really like the car. Like, the Avensis is really nice. It's been really nice to drive. So I just wanted to get fixed, rather. But either way, the shop was like, yep, we're going to pay for it. You don't have to worry about it. And that's great. So it was a bit frustrating to have, like, 5,000 euro bill hanging above you for a week. And, like, you were like, fuck, are we going to have to pay this? Like, god damn it. Either way, I found this out that they're going to take care of it, like, just the same day as I went to Russia. So it made the trip to Russia a little bit nicer because I didn't have to worry about that when I came back home either. So it was good. My trip to Russia was otherwise quite nice. We went to 2 different paper mills, and at one we were talking about a project that's currently running. There was some issues there that we needed to clear out, and then I also did some quick survey work for another quotation that the customer is asking for. And then we also went to a different mill that was like 6 hours away one day. And we checked that out if they want anything. And we had some budget quotation requests from them as well. So, gathered a little bit more work. But driving back from that mill, we had like a company that came and drove us with. We had two different drivers. On the way there, we had the company owner's wife drove us, and she was driving pretty fast, but it wasn't risky. It wasn't scary. It was quite safe. It was a nice trip. But coming back, we had like this freaking 40-plus-year-old Russian guy, maybe even 50-plus. Either way, he drove like a freaking maniac. The roads were icy as shit, and he was doing like 150 kilometers an hour, passing other cars in uphill and around corners. At one point, there was this long ass like bend in the road. You couldn't see more than like 30 meters ahead of you, and he passed 13 trucks on the wrong side of the road. He was just trucking. He was like, "Oh, there's a long line of trucks. Let's just pass it." So for this long ass bend, you couldn't see anything when was gonna come towards you on the other side of the road, and he was just fucking going. I was sitting in the back seat, like just knuckles white and going like, "Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, we're gonna die, we're gonna die, we're gonna die." Luckily, no other cars came at that moment, but as soon as we turned back onto our lane, there were cars coming from like in front. And the speed on this road was like around 60. So when you're going like 60 and you can't see ahead of you and you're in the wrong lane, icy roads, there's no situation where a car appears in front of you and you go, "Oh, I'm just gonna slow down and there's everything." No, it would have been fucking immediately. Christ, that was a terrifying fucking ride back to Syktyvkar. Whew, goddamn. But we survived it. Everything turned out all right, and I'm back safely at home now, so that's nice. Another thing I wanted to touch upon was, while I was in Russia, there was some changes to YouTube that are going to come into effect, I think the 20th of February. When I started this channel, I had been considering starting a channel for a long time, like we're talking a year or two, but I never felt I had equipment good enough. Like I wanted the audio quality especially to be good. Video, I wasn't too worried about video at the beginning because I wasn't considering terribly much to show my face. It turned into that now, but either way, I never had the audio quality, so I never started. But because of that, when I started it, YouTube had already implemented the whole 10,000 views minimum on your channel to get to monetize or run commercials on your channel. So that has been kind of the goal that I've been working towards. It's like my milestone. Like, okay, get 10,000 views. I can start running commercials, and maybe I can get like a couple of bucks every now and then. Like, earn a couple of dollars. Just it's not about the money. It's about the verification, so to speak. Like you get something in return that I'm looking for. And either way, when I was in Russia, YouTube, thanks to Logan Paul probably largely, and thanks to a lot of other people and videos that have been going on lately, YouTube upped the ante once again. Now, before you can run commercials, you have to have 4,000 hours of watch time during the last year, as well as 1,000 subscribers. Now, looking at my sub count, I have, I think, 44 at the moment. And I've been doing this for not quite a year yet. Maybe like 8 months, something like that. So considering that 44 subscribers in 8 months, that means I'm gonna be like 69 before I reach 1,000. Not even that. It's gonna be like I'm gonna be like 100, 250 or something. Either way, so that was really demoralizing. And again, like people have done in Twitter, people have done the math. Like with these numbers, we're talking $24 per month, which means a payout every 4 months of $100 because YouTube doesn't pay out less than 100. But it's really not about the money. It was my goal. It was my target goal to which I was working towards, and they just moved the goalposts. It's demoralizing. To an extent, I can't really explain why it is demoralizing, but it just feels like, fuck, everything I've been working for has just gone to shit. That's not really true though. And in the end, like I swear a lot in my videos. My English is quite crude. It's my third language, so it's easy to go for expletives in when you can't find a word, you instead use expletives like fucking whatever the fucking whatever, that kind of shit, right there, that kind of thing. So I swear a lot in my videos, and I have no intention of cleaning up my language because I don't see a reason to. I don't understand why words are considered bad. Like what is somebody going like fuck? Why is that a bad thing? It's an expression. They express their anger by using the word. You can't go mushroom. What does that tell you? Mushroom? Somebody goes fuck. You know that they're angry. It's communication. It's a way of communicating. It's considered a bad word. Why? Why is it a bad word? I don't understand. Why is shit a bad word? It's a description of something that exists. Fucking isn't really that unusual if you think about it. There's 7 billion of us. People fuck a lot. It's quite natural. All these things. I don't understand why it's considered a bad word. I don't understand the concept of bad words, in fact, at all. It's weird. Either way, I have no intention of cleaning up my language. And because of that, even if I ever reach the 4,000 hours watch time, the 1,000 subs, I will probably not be able to monetize a single one of my videos either way because I swear too much. It's going to be like, nah, well, this is not suitable for advertisers. I'm sorry. Never mind the fact that they run advertisements next to all kinds of movies on TV. Much worse movies and much worse things than what I do on my channel. Either way, I've been rambling for quite a long time now. I don't really know if I have anything more to say. It's just, these are my opinions. To people who feel demoralized about YouTube changing or moving the goalposts, don't. It feels like, it really, for you, it might feel like it's impossible now to reach your goal, which it felt for me at first. But then I realized that the money you get, like if we're talking about actual monetary value, the value you get from running commercials on YouTube nowadays is fucking nothing. What you need to do is build your audience to a point where you can actually, and build your audience, enhance your craft, like better your craft, better your videos, to the point where you can actually, you feel you are good enough to actually set up a Patreon or something like that. Diversify the income, so to speak. But trusting YouTube to pay your bills, that's, you're going to have a lot of subscribers before that, let me tell you. So don't get demoralized. Don't lose heart. Keep working, keep getting better, and keep building that community. That's what I'm going to try to do as well. And I know, like, my videos are still in their infancy. There's so much more that I would want to do, but I can't do right now because I don't know how, or I don't have time. And since I run Let's Plays, I can't really do one video a week. That would be a very strange Let's Play. So this channel will probably change a lot in the year to come, or years to come. We'll see what happens. Either way, I still like doing this, and it's a nice hobby. So I'm not going to quit anytime soon, even though YouTube is kicking me in the teeth. And kicking all the other small channels in the teeth as well. But yeah, I don't know. That's it for today, I think. See you next Sunday. Bye-bye.